to start by saying we don't have all that cool stuff in our church. So maybe we need to get your card. I also want to invite you guys to the table over there. Here are our brochures for Tolson. So please, before you go, stop and pick up one of our brochures. We are new. The Tolson Center for Community Excellence hasn't started yet, so I didn't have a wonderful PowerPoint to give you because we haven't actually, there's nothing to show you yet. Okay, so I'm going to be careful about this. But what I do want to share with you tonight is why Tolson is so important to this community. Why it's so important to me. I was born and raised here in South Central Elkhart on Cleveland Street. I am 54 years old, and so as I was being raised on Cleveland Street, white flight in Elkhart was beginning to happen. People were getting out of South Central because the black community was being pushed a little bit farther south. And white flight was happening, and so my community, for the most part, was predominantly black, until a group of white young seminary students decided that they were going to live the book of Acts for exactly what it said. They were going to move into our community and hold all things in common. We had no idea who they were as Mennonites. We whispered that maybe they were Quakers, because nothing else made sense to us. But they moved into our neighborhood, and not only moved into our neighborhood, but they actually became a part of our neighborhood. It was really important to them that they engaged us and that we engaged them. However, in the late 60s, early 70s, there were a lot of racial things that were going on, believe it or not. Today, what we see today is not new, right? In the 60s and stuff, this was really bad. And so as they were moving in, they had a harder time getting to relationships going with the adults. So they did a whole lot of stuff in our community with the kids. And I would come home every day. I was born I lived and I grew up in a house with a single mother who was mentally ill. We lived in poverty right there on Cleveland Street. And I had a really hard life in my home. But when I stepped outside of my door, I had a professor that lived across the street. I had a councilman that lived down the block. I had an extended family. One family on the corner is still there. The Wilson family had several generations in one. So when I left my home, even though my house was struggling, I saw something different when I walked out my door. My concern for our communities now, especially for many of the young children that are growing up, when they leave out their door, the troubles that are in their house look just like the troubles next door and the next one and the next one. So how will they ever have hope like I had when I was growing up? My hope and dream for Tolson right now is Tolson will bring again to South Central Elkhart a bunch of people who say there are important things happening in South Central and I want to be a part of it. In the last few years, me and my husband were living in Chicago, and we always, you don't leave Elkhart when you're born here. You don't leave Elkhart and don't stay in touch with Elkhart, right? And so we started hearing what was going on here in Elkhart, that the Elkhart, the foundation and the city of Elkhart and the chamber were working together to help save Tolson. And we were really proud because all of a sudden, the city was paying attention to South Central. To be able to come back home, and I said one thing that I shouldn't have said to the new mayor: if you need anything, let me know. Never say it. Never say that. Be specific in what you are willing to do, right? And he said, Cyneatha, we want you to come on as a member of the board of Tolson. And for the last year and maybe 3 or 4 months, we every 2 weeks have been meeting to prepare our community for what we believe will be a true staple for the city of Elkhart. It will be that connecting piece for South Central to the rest of the community. When my boys were young and were at the earlier Tolson, my boys we coached basketball at that time, and so my boys would get to play basketball with kids from South Bend and the north side of town, and Goshen and Warsaw, because everybody came to Tolson for that. The new Tolson wants to offer that as well, but we're going much bigger this time. We're talking about from babies to seniors, right? We want programming that invites the whole family in. We want programming in which our industry, many of you young professionals are doing great work in the community. You can bring your gifts, your businesses down to Tolson and say, this is what we do and why we're doing it. And we want to train you and help you be ready for this and that. That's what we are hoping for when we look at the new Tolson. The new Tolson will, we believe, connect not only this city, but again, all of those that have left. And I was listening to Mr. Weaver talk about this wonderful city he's building for us, all nice and pretty, right? We got a whole bunch of young people like myself that had left and want to come back home. And if we do it right, we will have people returning to our community. Because now you don't just have to live in Chicago. It's an hour and 20 minutes away. I can go get my fix and come back home, right? So that's what Elkhart is. And to hear all these wonderful things that are going on, I want to thank the city of Elkhart. I want to thank the foundation and the chamber for saying we will stand together and make sure the Tolson Center is alive and well in South Central Elkhart. And I want to thank our whole entire board for saying it's not just for South Central, it is for all of our community. And by each and every, looking around this room and the diversity that is in this room, that is what we're hoping for South Central Elkhart. And so for each and every one of you, as soon as we break ground, we hope you're standing there with your shoes dirty and ready to go. And as soon as we open those doors, whatever you have to offer, to not just South Central, but to Elkhart, remember, Tolson will be that connecting point to bring all of us together. I'm gonna say our mission for you. The Tolson Center for Community Excellence empowers lives through inclusive learning, recreation, and cultural exchange, opening doors for bright futures. I want to see the neighborhood I grew up in as a kid. I want to see that available to young people again. And each and every one of you in this room can make that possible. So please, please join us as we prepare for new and enlivened South Central. Thank you.